Okay, guys, here we are. We're back again, and we're recording here. So let's get right into it. I happen to notice my last video was 22 minutes, making it the longest video of any video that we've put into our Intro to SolidWorks series, and that's because, as I mentioned at the start of the last video, that this is an advanced topic, and so it takes a little bit longer to explain. So anyway, this is what we built, and you remember from the last time. That we now have a top profile curve, we have a bottom profile curve, and then we have this center line 3D sketch that's built from two different sketches that we made. So if you're just tuning in, that's where we're at. Now, what we have to do next is we have to connect this top profile curve to our center line and then back to our bottom profile curve with a new curve. And so the way to do that is to create some new sketches, and those are going to have to be on some brand new planes that are perpendicular to our center line here. So the way to do that, we're going to have to go back to our center line curve. And right now it's not shown. It's hidden. It's hidden because it was used to create this 3D curve here. And once it was used to create that 3D curve, it was hidden away. So we have to go back to it. There it is. And we have to do, oh, sorry, it's this one. Yeah, we have to do a right click on it and go to show. Okay, so it's always still there. It's just hidden because it's performing another operation right now. But we can always show it again and just use it as we want. So there we go. Now, since we're starting to get into 3D design, you're going to see my viewport here flying around my model quite a bit. As we move away from standard solid modeling, orthographic view, top right side view stuff, and we start getting into 3D wireframes and stuff like that, you're going to see me constantly moving my model around, and that's because I'm just constantly training my brain to understand this form using these profile curves. I'm just trying to better understand what's what and where it is. So just try to understand that. I'm sure this is just second nature once you start getting into this stuff. But for the newer users that haven't done this before, you're probably wondering why I'm toggling around my model so much, and that's why. So here we are. Now we've shown our center curve, and the next thing is going to do to create some new planes that we can draw some center profiles off of. I'm going to go reference geometry plane. It's going to open up the property manager. First reference will be, of course, the center line. And as you see there, when I click on that center line, it puts a plane right on that center line. Totally coincident to the center line. Then it's going to automatically fulfill the second reference point, and so anything I click on next, it will put it will adjust the plane to that second reference. So in this case, it's going to be right here, that point. Remember, we added that point to the center line purposefully just for this part of the tutorial. So there we go. I'll click on that point and zoom out to see kind of what that did. It took the plane that was previously coincident to the center line, and it has moved it to a coincident relationship to that point and a perpendicular relationship to the first reference. So there we go. So I will hit the green checkbox, and I'm happy with that. So happy with it, in fact, that I will go ahead and add a couple more to finish out the design. Okay, so reference geometry plane, first reference, boom, second reference, done. Plane. First reference will be this line, second reference will be this point. And we'll just do one more. Plane. Now you see what's happening here. SolidWorks is trying to think that because my last plane is active, I want this new plane to be first referenced to the plane 3, but it's not what I want. So I'm just going to quickly open up that first reference panel and assign it to this, and then do second reference to this point. Okay, so there we go. So now take a look at that and kind of try to understand what we've done. We've created 4 different planes, each one of them attached perpendicularly to the edit points along our center line. Okay, and there we go. Now, thing to do, we'll start with our first plane, and I'm just going to do a right click and open up a sketch on that first plane. I'm going to zoom in on my model here, zoom into a place where I can kind of see the rest of my line work. Grab my spline tool, and I'm going to just draw out a 3-point curve. 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to exit. Okay. The reason that I do a 3-point curve is because I have 3 points to attach to. I have my top profile curve, my center line, and my bottom profile curve. Now, the other thing to notice too is that that profile curve does not actually touch those lines yet at this point. It's drawn on this first plane. Let me see if I can zoom out to show you. Yes, it's drawn on that new plane that we made, but it does not actually touch the other pieces of line work. It looks like it does, and I drew it that way on purpose because I know that's what I want to do. But when I zoom to another location, I see, no, it's actually just floating off into space. So the thing to do now is going to be to attach the endpoints of this curve to the line work that we'd previously drawn. And so I click the first point of that curve, and then I hold down Control, and then I click the top profile line, and nothing happens. Let me do that again. Click the top point, and then hold down Control, and then I'm going to do a right click. Okay, now when I do the right click, I get this command here, Make Pierce. Make Pierce is very different and very new to a lot of our beginner users, but what it is it attaches the end of a line. There you see I just fired it off. It attaches the end of this line to this curve in 3D space. Now previously we've been using things like make coincident, which would make 2 points come together coincidentally, meaning at the same point. But that's a two-dimensional relationship. That's from the top down. 2 lines that are floating out in space will then touch in a 2D viewport. This is 3D now, so we're going to do the make pierce command. We'll do it again with this center point here. Remember, this is a 3-point curve. There's our center point. We'll click on it, hold down Control, and what was it? It was the right mouse button. Do a right mouse button click, holding down Control with the point, and then there's make pierce. And you can see what it's done. It takes that center point and attaches it to the center line. You can see our line is getting more and more messed up as we do this, but it's actually coming together quite nicely, you see. So the last thing to do is to take this part of the line, this end point of the line, and to attach it to this bottom profile curve. Okay. Now it's thrown way out there in space, but using our make pierce command, holding down Control with a right click, make pierce, it just pops it right into place. Excuse me while I orient myself. And you can see what we've done now. We've now attached that line that was previously way out in the middle of nowhere, and it now attaches to the top center line and bottom profile of our curve. There we go. Now, so we're happy with that. Okay, we can get in there and we can exit the sketch now and just take kind of a look at our handiwork. Just going to click on our part here to kind of scroll around it nicely. All right. Okay, but now we have to do a couple more things. Let's remember what we're doing here, right? We're creating a half of a 3D wireframe, and when we create a half of a 3D wireframe, we know we're going to have to mirror it across. So we know we're going to have to put a tangent relationship between the top of this curve and whatever it mirrors over to. So let me go back to it. I'm going to do a right click. I'll just edit the sketch, and this is where look normal comes into handy. See, we have this sketch and it's out in 3D space and we have it selected. We're editing it. I'm going to do Control 8 and I'm just going to look normal too. Click on the sketch itself. I bring up the IK handles, the control handles, and now I can add with a right click a horizontal relationship to the end of that curve. So there we go. Voila. There we go. Now I know that if I take this curve and I mirror it over to the other side, this horizontal relationship is going to cause a tangent relationship between the two surfaces. I'll do an exit sketch and I'll be happy with that. Okay. So there we go. So that is the key, is the make pierce function and the horizontal or tangent relationship between the two edges. So I'm just going to go ahead and just get started on the next bit, which is doing the same exact thing on the next 3 planes. And I'm going to just let you watch as I do that, okay? Do sketch. We'll go spline, escape. Take this point, make pierce, make pierce. Make pierce. This time I'm just going to Control 8, look normal 2. And that's not what I want. I have to exit the sketch first, then I have to edit the sketch. Normal 2, zoom in, and right click. Sorry. Right click over the triangle, over the diamond, with a right click, horizontal. Over the diamond with a right click, horizontal. Confirm. All right, good. And do you know what? This is another thing I brought up in class too, is that as you make new planes, they can get a little confusing as you move around in 3D space, so you can just easily just hide them. Just right click on a plane and go to hide. Right click plane, hide. Right click this plane and sketch. We're going to sketch on this one. Something happened there. I have to get back in there and take a look at this one. Let's see. We want to look at this guy. I'm going to add a horizontal relationship. Good. There we go. Good. Okay. Almost done. One more to go. I'll just hide that plane. Get it out of my way. Keep things simple for myself. Ooh. Where am I? Where am I? Hit F to get back to where I started. Okay. Good. Back to where I started. Do a right click on the plane 4, open up a sketch, and zoom way in here, and I'll just drop a line. Kind of makes me think that I'm on the right track. Make pierce. Take the center line, make pierce to this 3D center curve here, and I'll just make pierce with that bottom one as well. And I'll exit that sketch. Re-enter the sketch. Look normal 2. And I will go to this little triangle here and just make it horizontal. Triangle, horizontal. Booyah. There we go. Now I'm going to hide this plane because I do not need to see that anymore. And I'm just going to admire my work here. What a fantastic wireframe I have built. Boy, oh boy. I'm remembering now the center line. This center line is something that I used to create my 3D curve. I don't need that anymore, so I can just go back and hide it. Now I remember that it was created to make this curve, and it's right there, so I'll just go back and hide. See, as I'm creating my 3D model, as I'm creating more and more detail in my 3D model, I'm constantly showing and hiding things as I need them to create the model, but then at the last minute, when I'm finished with those things, I hide them again in order to create cleanliness in my model. If I were to share this model with somebody else, I would never want to show something that I used for construction purposes. I would want to hide that stuff in order to help whatever other user is looking at my work to better understand what I'm doing. So, okay. Here we are, and there's my wireframe, and I am good to go. Now, next up, I'm going to use something called boundary surface. And what we're going to do is we're going to fulfill all of this wireframe with the boundary surface, okay? I'm going to shut this video down right now, and I'm going to start another one here because I want you guys to all practice. We've covered a lot in this video here. We used our 3D sketch in combination with our center line and using the reference geometry, additional planes, to create planes, and then using the pierce command to draw sketches on those planes and piercing sketches to the line work we've created so far. So I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. So go ahead and just everybody try to get to this point here, and then in our next video we're going to use this this boundary surface tool here to fill in the blanks and create surfaces out of this wireframe that we've built. And then we're going to mirror that across and create a solid out of it. And then we're going to keep on going. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.